It's daily game design time. This was a little bit of a slower morning here. I mean, just as far as getting the pieces together. And the reasons include um, interesting. The reasons include another moment of, if not me, then who? So that's been one of the main themes of having my own apartment. As you can imagine, major theme is, if I don't do it, nobody's gonna do it, and um, and that has been the case for a while, I guess. I mean, I lived with some, a mix of young men, varying levels of a sense of responsibility, and for a few years, my role, semi-formal role, was looking after the apartment, making sure that it was at least somewhat presentable. I had varying degrees of success. There was, at least when I first had that set of responsibilities, I didn't read the room perfectly, or at least with one of the guys that I was living with, and damaged the relationship to the point that it was um, irreparable somehow. I mean, that's not the way I think. I usually think there's a way to figure things out, to talk things out, and that it just has never, for some reason, the way I handled, kind of staying on top of these guys in the apartment did not sit well with this particular individual. And I mean, I think I've learned a lot since then about just kind of backing off, leaving things alone, um, trying to find ways to encourage people to do things without, well, first of all, building on a relationship. I don't think we had a relationship, me and this other guy, and I think that really complicated things. And to be honest, it still in some ways affects me and complicates things for me. That's not to complain, but it's just like, that's such a shock to me that that's how things went and that's how things are. But anyway, so it was in that setting, living with these younger guys for a few years, that I learned to practice some discipline around making sure I pick things up and look after things. So that was really helpful. But having my own apartment, of course, is another level of that, where it's possible for me to leave things kind of unorganized or messy or whatever. It's possible, but then I look around and I ask, well, if not me, who? Nobody's gonna pick this up if it's not me. So my sink has been draining slowly. My bathroom sink has been draining slowly since I moved in, and I thought, okay, I kind of messed around with the little lever that opens or pushes up the plunger thing and all that, and wasn't getting anywhere. It was still draining really slowly. So this morning, I woke up pretty early this morning, around 4, and just kind of got ready slowly, watched a little, a few videos on my phone or whatever, realized I wasn't going to sleep anymore. Then just made it official, got up, started getting ready for the day, looked at that sink, and I thought, if not me, then who? And so I got under there and kind of pulled a couple things out and was able to eventually lift that plunger out, and found just this nice wad of hair. And it was the sort of gunky, stuff had been growing on there for a little bit, and it was just real gross. And anyway, pulled that out. I have one of those hair hook things, like for the shower and stuff, and I stuck that in there. That's when that's when the biggest glob came out. And of course, after wrestling with that a little bit, cleaning up the sink and wiping things down, now the sink drains perfectly. Just nice, fast. Everything looks good, and it's a nice moment to every little win is a good thing. It's a win. A win is a win. So I feel good about little things like that. The other I guess the other reason that uh, that things took a little longer than usual is that I checked my Twitch stream. So I'm streaming to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch all at the same time right now. And by the way, learned that another one of my friends has started streaming game design, but like digitally. So he's building not like a video game, but he's building a Scrabble game that sounded kind of cool. So anyway, I was chatting with him yesterday. I thought to look at my Twitch channel and just check on the watch a little bit of a video, see how it looks, see how it sounds. And I found the sound was bad, really terrible. And then I was messing with my microphone anyway. I thought I should figure out what's going on here. It was kind of echoey and stuff. And then I rearranged things, kind of fixed things, then realized that the setting in OBS was actually my webcam microphone, which is not nearly as good as what is this? An Audio Technica something, don't remember. Anyway, I'm hoping my audio is much clearer. It might still be loud and echoey, but wow, that was bad. Yeah, hopefully that's what the issue was. But that just took some time to sort out. Very much if not me who. I have another exciting little moment here. I'm just looking down at my phone here. I have a notification from a friend, Jen, who is an acquaintance from doing music out in the wilderness of Utah a couple years ago. And she said, I'm making a board game for work. I was wondering what professional game printing company to go with. Do you have any suggestions? First of all, Jen, pump your brakes, slow down. Let me have a look at this game before you print anything. That's important. Lots of people, lots of great ideas. The thing is to make sure, and this is something that's always a work in progress for me, make sure the thing goes through a bunch of playtesting and that it's hitting well with your audience. Make sure you're getting wisdom from more experienced game designers, that kind of stuff. What I have here for a few minutes is a post from yesterday. I posted after printing out this prototype. So I just have the cards here for Sugar Shack. And you can see I just have junk cards that are the backbone for these sleeved amalgamations. I have, you can see actually on my screen, I just printed from my little home printer. That's the reason I have it in here, pretty much. Printed out these sheets yesterday. I don't have the sizing right. There's something wrong with, there is something wrong. These shouldn't be, you shouldn't see this much of a border around these cards. But anyway, I worked on this yesterday, cut out these cards, and I really dread making prototypes for some reason. At this point, I don't love it. I don't mind the crafting element. I think it's fine. I think it's a little bit fun. It's kind of cool to figure out how to make things look a little bit nice and also, make it playable. By the way, speaking of things looking nice, please behold and comment on my piece of art from 2 Fridays ago. Those are oranges. Okay? Those are oranges. Excuse me. So printed these cards out, cut them out, put everything together, and I really, the process is fine. What I don't enjoy is doing this knowing that I can so quickly make digital prototypes and iterate and playtest with amazing people and iterate so quickly with digital that to print these things out and make a physical, form, put the game into physical form, just feels like, why am I doing this? I don't need, I can get all this done in like 2 seconds. Like downloading files, uploading them into TTS, and then I'm done. But here I'm just like figuring out how to cut things on my desk here, and I've got, actually I did get one of those little roller cutter things. It was a hand-me-down, I think from I forget exactly where that came from. But anyway, here's what I was surprised by with this post. So I posted on a BGDL yesterday, and I said, choose one. Thumbs up for physical prototype, team physical prototype, heart for team digital prototype. Now, I might be misapprehending the nature of interaction on Facebook, as in if somebody's just scrolling by, sees a post, oh, this guy's cool, he's printing out some stuff, let me just give that a thumbs up. I probably should have picked one that takes another step of interaction. Because the thing is, everybody except for one person picked thumbs up, and I'm just thinking, what is going on here? Like, how are these people so committed to making physical prototypes? How can you do that? For me, it's so draining. Why would I do that? And I can get so much done. It's okay. Also, what I want to say is, of course, at some point I need to make a physical prototype. But I'm talking about, these people who, like, that's their main way of playtesting, is making physical prototypes. Some people, Jason Shanley, I'm calling you out. Some people make beautiful prototypes like really early. Like, they get them professionally made, or at least made to the highest quality that we can with a small print run. And I think he usually gets stuff from the Game Crafter. So he gets all the files, makes it look nice, uploads it to Game Crafter, and then orders off the Game Crafter these really nice looking things. And for me, that's insane. That's completely insane. Why? Because it's gonna cost quite a bit of money. And then, of course, from that point, as you've seen with Sugar Shack, from that point, then a ton of things are going to change. And then a ton of things are going to change again and again and again. And I guess, occasionally, and maybe for big events, it's the thing. I'm here on Oahu, so I don't have much opportunity to go to conventions where I'm going to meet publishers, that kind of thing. But now that I'm going to start traveling within this next year to go to these places, I guess I'm going to have to get it into my head that a nice prototype is worth it. Okay, but anyway, just shocked that pretty much everybody's all physical. Maybe it's just that because I've basically, in a way, been forced. Some people are spoiled to have playtesting groups and, a lot of in-person stuff. But I spend the majority of my time playtesting digitally. It's so convenient. It's so awesome. But a lot of people, maybe they just get more opportunity to playtest in person. So anyway, I will point out a couple things that have changed or will change, even including today, because I playtested with people using their fingers yesterday. It happened one time before. I noticed that in an earlier prototype, I think I've made 2 or 3 physical versions of this game. One change came when I noticed that on an old version of the Sugar Shack, on an old version of this card, the Sugar Shack, I had worker placement spots on the card itself. And I had a worker placement spot for, it would have been over here, for a a holding tank. There was a holding tank, so I had a worker placement down over here. I had a worker placement down here for the evaporator, and then another one. So anyway, the cubes would come in from the sugar bush up here into the holding tank, and then they would be manipulated. The player would manipulate them through the process. Well, what I noticed is that as they were reaching for things, maybe they were sending one worker out into town, maybe they were moving cubes around, they had to dodge the workers that were sitting down that were a little taller. And so I thought, why do I have them down here? For some reason, it kind of makes sense that they're closer to me, so the thing I'm placing on the card is going to be closer to me. At the same time, I never really thought much about how people's fingers were going to be busy in this area and maybe knocking over the workers that were left down here. So to see people trying to actually maneuver things around the card was super helpful. And so that is a case where, okay, at some point you really need to see people doing stuff with your stuff. Okay, but the second one the second one yesterday had to do with this card, the staff card. So the way that this card works is that let me see. So it sits like this. Hopefully you can see that. It sits like this so that the vehicle that has the syrup cubes sitting there, the bottles, and then later barrels, that's sitting there, and then next to it is the staff card. And the staff card gets refilled with workers or meeples every round. But when you're interacting in town, you can actually gain extra meeples for the next round. So what happens is, at least the way that I'm suggesting, like the graphic design, the way this works, is that the meeples you have for this turn are sitting in this area at the bottom of the staff card. And then the extra meeples, they get placed here, and then when there's upkeep between rounds, they shift down to here, right? So that's shown in the graphic design. I'm sorry if I'm right under my mic, so I might be like, what is that? Causing some distortion. So the way it works is that the regular workers get refilled first, and then any extra workers from up here slide down into the active worker pool. What I noticed yesterday, as things were sitting on the table, is that it wasn't obvious. It took time to recognize whether somebody was out of their workers for the round, or if they had extra workers for the next round, or both. Like if they had workers that they were still using, or if they had workers that were extra and that they were not going to have access to this round. Because you sort of, you don't want to be rude on your turn and just like, are you done? Are you done? It'd be nice if there was visually a way to understand whether somebody still had workers left. Like that would be nice. So I'm thinking to redesign this card to have a different layout so that it's more clear if I look across the table, or if I look at the player's Sugar Shack, I don't know where we're going to be sitting. I actually prefer if it's side by side. If there's a way to quickly ascertain when somebody is out of workers for the round. So not getting confused if they have extra workers sitting somewhere in the vicinity of their Sugar Shack. So I'm going to think about that a little bit. Not going to stress about it. It doesn't matter a whole lot right now. But it's one of those little graphic design details that affects gameplay and probably enough to care about. So anyway, so that is a reason to do things in physical space. I get it. I see that physical, having a physical prototype is helpful. It's really useful, for cleaning things up, noticing little details about how players interact with components. It's obviously important for that, because digital space is just really different. The way people shuffle, move their things around, it's all just different. So it's important to see it. So I get it. I'm just not a fan of it. I don't love the crafting part. It's fine, but I just don't love it. Yeah, like this, I have no compulsion for this. I need one physical prototype very early on to get a sense of what the game actually feels like at the table and test my commitment to the project. That's fine. Yeah, see, okay. I can sort of understand this. So it's like an early physical prototype just to get the feel. See if it's worth it. And then digital for a long time until get some clear direction. Then some digital playtest, right? Until I bring it to one of our monthly playtest nights and or the game nights and conventions and or other game nights and conventions. So I get that, but we definitely share that middle portion of Zach's comments where I'm gonna do the as much as possible digitally until something pressures me into making a physical. Like yesterday, I've done so much work on this. I've done so much work that now I'm confident I have something that's playable. And yesterday's playtest bore that out. I was very pleased with some of the changes, the latest tweaks. So I'm actually going to bring up TTS for a few minutes and talk about some of the tweaks from yesterday's playtest. Did I already drop these as comments into? Okay. Okay, so the first thing to point out and celebrate is that this system right here of revealing these building cards one at a time worked really well. Now there's a lot going on in the teach. I still didn't love the teach, but it was a lot better than going card by card through all of these cards. At the same time, the players, especially Aaron because he hadn't played yet, the players didn't. It was hard. It was. This is a nice way to think about it. So Aaron, after he understood the two win conditions that are not related to the sugar bush, so when the sugar bush flips twice and runs out for the third time, then you check money. What I hadn't thought about is that is basically the game's version of a tiebreaker, right? Because I have these two other win cons that I think are more interesting. They're not more interesting, but like they're definitely more, in a sense, they're more thematic. They're more dynamic, definitely. Because the players actually, the players also have control over the timing of things in the game, like when the game ends. Not a lot, but they have some, because they can slow down or rush the end by leaving or taking more cubes. So that is definitely a thing. But this was great. The randomness with the die roll, you get the thing. When it was like this is what I was looking at before. You could choose which one of these cards you wanted to reveal first. I didn't like that because I was still going to have to explain all the cards. Now there's only one of these to interact with. It's just this one. And you can either interact with it or, activate these 4 buildings below it. What came out yesterday, which I thought was insightful, was at least have one of these. So at least bring one of these out and make it available. So that way players can have slightly more options. It's still not an overwhelming number, so it still limits 1, 2, 3 buildings, plus the community project is not available yet. I think that's fine. Anyway, this solved a bunch of problems about timing overall, as in this system, this system of revealing these building cards. However, I think this tiny tweak of revealing the top one, it gives players a little more choice. It accelerates the game toward both revealing the community project. It was not great to have the community project available right from this particular one, to have it available right from the start, because it felt like that could just warp the game too early. But then to have it, to wait on it too long was also not cool, because then it's irrelevant, because you're starting to make progress in other ways. You're building your engine, you know, maybe you're not as tempted to, you're not really tempted to, I don't know. It just seemed like attention went straight to the mayor's favor cards when they came out, and it will again, but at least they'll have that option, be able to look at that option a little longer. Anyway, so that was, I think, a great idea. It's just make sure that there's at least one of these 4 cards available from the start. I think that's cool. And that really, really, really changes the game, depending on what's out here. Because if, for example, the hardware store is out here, then upgrades are available right away. If it's not, if it's last, even in 3 cards, that puts it down at least 3 rounds. So what are players going to do with their money? They might start working toward, well, now, like in this case, the grant office, if it's available from the start, then you might get very powerful abilities early on, and that'd be crazy. However, if it's not available, and if it's last, then players are going to be losing the grant office upgrades are going to get pushed way back in the game, because they're not making progress here early in the game, even by going to the closer B market, right? Because these cubes, instead of going to the grant office, they get discarded. So, all right, I loved this little system. That was really, really great. Let me look at some of the other notes I had. Aaron was helpful in pointing out that, at least in this prototype, everything is really small. So I can imagine printing on, like, for this whole game, it didn't take up a lot of space, but I can certainly imagine, you know, printing on, like, let's say the game box had to be like this big. Printing on the size of card, I don't know what it would be, but it'd be somewhere in here. Those are similar to the cards in Century Spice Road. They're like this big. So that would be great, rather than these poker size cards. I think these are poker size, the sleeves anyway. So that would help a lot, because there's some really tiny stuff going, like especially like the grant office, super small. Or even like the descriptions of the free actions, they're just tiny on the cards. So blowing up the cards would be helpful. Making a separate money track card would be good. It's one less thing to care about when flipping or upgrading your garage. So that's cool. There also might be some other things to put on there, like, well, first of all, a bigger track, because 30 money in some games will be certainly not be enough. And also you could track with some bigger component rather than the tiny little cubes I had. These guys had, you know, they had their little pincher fingers, like moving stuff around. It just was not working well at all. But does that blow up the cubes and the workers? I'm not sure, maybe. But I think, because I don't think this game would work great in a Min 10 anymore, just because it needs this, you know, a decent number of workers, and then the cubes, it seems like probably 30-ish cubes. So that is, at least to be able to still interact with the components, I think this game does need to blow up in size. And that means Mint 10 no longer possible. I'm sorry, Galen's Games, but you're not getting this game. Anyway, that made a lot of sense, just dealing with the scale. There was one thought. It was interesting that Aaron seemed interested in, like, the possibility of multiple winners. That seems reasonable, but this was a private or hidden objective card sort of idea. I don't want to think a whole lot about that right now, but I think the idea was something like, you would draw a win con, a little, you know, from a little deck of win cons, And it could be like it is now. It could be your win con is earn 4 mayor's favor cards. Maybe that's not a universal win con. Maybe it's just for you. And you don't know exactly what the other player's going for. And so you might guess, and there might be some intrigue and some fun in that. Another thing was just it's similar to a UI problem. Well, two of them actually. The first is that there should be a card which just says supply of cubes, or which indicates that it's a supply. It wasn't obvious, or it was easy to forget when a cube should come from. Yeah, when a cube should come from the sugar bush, which is always, the cubes always come from the sugar bush. So why did I say it like that? No, it was an issue that because there was a pile of cubes nearby, it seemed reasonable to just pull from the pile you just added to when you discarded cubes. So it was just something that they sort of easily forgot. So maybe a card to store cubes that is not the sugar bush card might help. I'm not sure. The other main issue, because I'm trying to aim for language independence, it's to make sure there's a player rate available. So that's why I thought maybe just with the time remaining, I might make some of these changes. I'm thinking about, I can adjust a few cards right now. Anyway, I wanted to show you how excited I was just that this particular setup really worked. And that there were no complaints necessarily about gameplay. It's just tweaks about timing, availability, figuring out the teach, like onboarding, and then also having advanced play. So what would you do if you had experienced players? I was surprised. Eli, he's played twice now. I was surprised that he said he would actually still prefer this random, essentially town generation, because these cards would all come out at different times. So that was good. And actually the game came down to, in terms of timing, it came down to the second to last round where there would be cubes. So they were just about to run out of cubes, and somebody could have rushed it. They could have forced that to be the final round, or the second to last round. Anyway, I'm not gonna get caught up in that. But the point is, it was very close to the end of the game in terms of the cubes, where it came down to somebody's going to win by money or somebody was going to win by mayor's favor cards. They did not at all interact with the community projects, which means I need to add a bonus to the community projects. I actually am going to do some of this stuff right now. Let me close this to save a few resources. Actually, I kind of want to, let me just bring you all in a couple of messages with my friend Jen. First things first. First things first, congrats. Very cool you're working on a game. I'd like to hear more about it. And play test it before you print. Yeah, tell me how it's been testing with your what, workmates, colleagues? Do we go straight to colleagues here? What's the theme? What kind of game is it? Anyway, it's very, very cool to have people get excited about this stuff. And it's also nice to be a resource and that I'm associated with gaming and game design. I think that's really, really cool. Actually, I was talking with my friend Ming yesterday after our design meetup, and there are game designers around, published designers, and it could be, kind of larger scale and also very small scale publishing. But there are not very many of us who seem very motivated to like get together and actually playtest in person, have discussion about these things in person. So I'm happy to do it. It appears that at least on this island, I'm taking the lead in doing it. I don't think other people are really initiating the same kind of collective thing. There are people that have their little design groups that are maybe like almost like their little studio, and that's cool. So that that's their thing. But as far as like an open invitation game design meetup, I don't know of any more on this island. So I'm happy to be doing that. I'm also happy if I become associated with that. That I'm a person that enjoys coordinating or organizing people around this hobby, around this exercise. If actually I just posted that I think this morning, or no, it was last night, that if somebody comes to Oahu and they're a designer and they want to spend time with other designers, I'm happy to be that person who can coordinate, who can who has a network available where we can get together and play test. This is likely going to happen. We have a few designers coming up for TTO Con, so I'm hoping that we can get together with them during the con and also after, and do meetups where our local designers are inspired, where we're all getting together and working with each other on our projects and getting excited about moving forward toward publication. So it'd be great if that's something that that works out. What is that? Is that a kind of identification thing, like a reputation thing? I'm not sure, but if creating opportunities for people to get together and design and give feedback and all that stuff, if that thing gets associated with me, I'm very pleased. Yeah, so the last little message here is I certainly have suggestions for how to print the game. Exclamation point. See that? Threw that on there, a little exclamation point. Well, let's see what Jen comes back with. Anyway, I'm going to make some changes. I want to think through the garage situation briefly. I mean the staff, how the staff sit, which includes the garage here. I'm not... Oh, actually, the other thing I was going to do super quick is give a little reward for going to this first community project, because I think I am testing this one mainly, this original one, because I think it's still fine. The variety could come either in expansions or just later. Okay, so what I was gonna do is add, I was gonna add one of these. So I'll group that, and I think I'll add this. Should it take a gray box? Not really, but maybe it kind of makes sense. I'm not sure. It feels inconsistent to use a gray box because this is meant to be more like information rather than, I don't know, maybe it is a benefit. It can count. Maybe, do I need to make this a little, I can do it. I can do it super fast. So I'm gonna group these guys, add this in here, add this in here. Group them, shrink them, drop that on there. I thought I had another icon that was similar to that. Where was that? Yeah, I have a feeling I'm going to be tired at school today. But it is what it is. Maybe it was an old idea. I don't remember where that is. Yeah. Like this is a slight inconsistency now that I'm seeing it, because it probably should just show, it should just show this little box. Actually, I can do that. Let me do that. Yeah, like instead of this, it should be not that. Maybe it should be this. So I can shrink this even a little bit. Oh, this is funny. Something Aaron said that I didn't really know, that X's and multiplication signs are different. I don't know where to get a multiplication sign. Let me see. Multiplication sign. Is it like this? With this? A times sign. Let me see if it is included here in this font, because that's an easy fix. Ah, it is. Okay. Okay, Aaron. You got it. You got it, bud. Yeah, it's clearer, cleaner. Fair enough. Like, who thinks of stuff like that? I don't know what kind of person, I mean, oops. I don't know what sort of job he does or anything. Like, why that would stand out as a thing. Like, who notices that and cares about it? I'm really not sure. But that's definitely different. It's fun little things like little details like this that are really like just little moments of thoughtfulness and correctness in a way that just keep, like, if somebody noticed this detail, they would think, "Oh, that was thoughtful. That was a thoughtful little detail." Hmm. It very easily done as well, so that's cool. Okay. Yeah, surprisingly, the timing was pretty good. Like I think this is gone. I think 10 in each one was totally fine. Okay, very good. Hey, anybody on Twitch, just let me know if this if the mic is sounding good. What do you think? Because I can't imagine it sounds great. Because my room is still echoey, but it could be that making sure the right mic is on, making sure it's positioned in a reasonable spot. It's actually right up here. I'm sure you can't tell that. Yeah. So it's still, I mean, there's still going to be fan noise no matter what because I don't have AC and this is Hawaii and it gets hot. Um, um, anyway, so Aaron, that was a nice little suggestion there. Very, yeah, quick fix. Perfect. I was also thinking what I wanted to. Oh, if I'm sorry, another vertigo moment here. If I'm incentivizing people coming here, then I can change this too. Then I want to raise the price. Fair, right? So this is gonna come over here, slide over. Nice. Okay, so this is now a nice little update to the iconography. Center that bad boy. Good. And then how to do this? Equals? Is it equals? Yeah. We'll just do that. Some of these actually I don't. Yeah, I don't mind that. Because some of these I do prefer not to. Like it doesn't need to be linguistic. It's okay if it's just. It doesn't have to be a statement, right? Like down here, it's just for every one of these is times 2 money. Oh, I missed one. Cool. Go there, and like that's pretty clear, right? Feel good about that. Hey, Mike. Oh, good. Yeah, I think I realized that that I had the wrong mic selected. Maybe it was last stream. I don't know if I had my laptop disconnected or if I had to. I don't know what happened, but it was like really echoey, and I'm sure it's still echoey. This room is very live, but I do have like it's more than a pop filter. It's like this foam enclosure for the mic, so hopefully it dampens a little bit of that echo. But still, like I watched the little Twitch video and I thought, oh, that is no good. Mike, there's been some pretty fun innovations over the last couple of days that tested well yesterday, that I'm pretty excited about, and it was mostly revealing. So what I'm doing. This actually came. I posted the Matthew Dunstan video in BGDL, and I was just kind of partly listening to the video and realizing like it's a big mistake to have too many options available for players at the start of the game. It makes sense to me, and also it affects the teach, right? So if I have to describe every single building and every single win con and all that, that's like a problem. So I had this thought to, like, how could I reveal buildings over time? And then it worked out that I have 4 buildings that cost 1 worker each. And I could pretty much treat these advanced buildings as almost like a, how to say that? Almost like a like thematically, it's kind of like one player goes and has a relationship, like initiates a relationship with an establishment, and then that becomes available. It becomes available for everybody, or maybe they build the town, or I don't know, thematically, whatever. But the point is, they can come and interact with this building, and they gain this thing guaranteed, but then they roll for this thing, so it adds a little more randomness at the start of the game. In 2 ways. One is the resources that the players gain will be slightly different from each other, which is cool. And then also which buildings come out and are available first is also different and will very much change the game. Like the hardware store coming out first, or the grant office coming out first, all these things, or even the Farland Market coming out first, because this would encourage more barrels probably. This of course makes upgrades available. Sugar Shack upgrades available. This one would be nuts if this got going early to get these like superpowers, and then the gift shop just kind of gives you potentially stronger turns. You earn quite a bit of money pretty fast, and then get some stronger turns. Anyway, this coming out bit by bit solved so many problems. Problems having to do with timing. Because it delays a couple of things. Like right now, I think, the latest thought, this was from playtesting yesterday in person. The latest thought is to reveal 1 building and then have 3 that get revealed over time. And then once those are revealed, then community projects become available. So you're not like rushing them and warping the whole game around them right away, which is cool. And then after this, the round after this happens, then the mayor's favor cards start coming out. So they don't become a problem. The game can't end as early around them or because of them, because they don't come out they probably come out around week 2 now rather than week 1. And week 2 is actually a suggestion from the previous playtest, not yesterday, the playtest before. And what's cool is that will happen organically rather than be some kind of weird upkeep step that only starts off it's something you just have to remember or follow on some player aid, you know. Instead, yes, it would still be a detail that you would have to describe, and they would have to kind of just remember. But it's still like, once this is emptied, then these start coming out. It's not like, hey, remember, during week 2, the mayor's favorite cards need to start flowing. But because there's a kind of association up here between these two things, hopefully it's something that feels a little more intuitive. So that was exciting. I am going to pump up, yeah, honestly, a very big win. I am going to pump up community projects. In fact, I was just adding the little bonus. I forget if we talked about a bonus, but it needs to feel better to go here. But because of that, I think I'm also going to raise the price a little bit, like literally just $1 or $1. Maybe I'll just leave that actually for now. 16. 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, sure, why not? Yeah, so at least you get a little something. That should be nice. Nice touch. What else? Oh, I can make the start working on the player aid in my last few minutes. Actually, I'm gonna stream a little bit longer today just because I started earlier. Yeah, but Mike, the timing was quite good. I don't know when you jumped in here, but the way the game ended yesterday, it was within a turn of one guy winning based on Mayor's favorite cards, and one guy winning. He probably would have won on money. So the cubes were just about to run out. So the timing was really, really good, and they didn't have the sense that there was anything super unbalanced, which was great. And most of the tweaks regarded like UI stuff. So it wasn't really gameplay. The gameplay seemed to work and work really well. Oh, the other thing was that I think because the mayor's favorite cards come out later, then it made sense to revert to the cards coming out. Let me write that down. Mayor's favor cards start flowing after the town buildings. Start flowing the round after the town buildings are all revealed. And then and when a mayor's favor card is earned, the next one is revealed immediately. Yeah. So that is a reversion, but I think it makes sense now that there's this delay. So that's cool. The other thing, let's see. Yeah, so I wanted to mess around with the UI here. I don't love Actually, I wouldn't mind. Oh, you know what I can do? Okay, so I'm gonna reorient everything a little bit first. Let's see. So this is gonna go away, this one. This guy is probably also going to go away. But I'm going to drop this down like this. Bring this back. I'm going to fill this. Oh, no, I do think it needs to be like that. Okay. And then, so what's going to happen now, let's try this, is that the extra workers will get dropped in here first. Actually, let me group this. So the extra workers are going to get dropped in here. And then any of the workers that get added immediately. Yeah, I don't love that this is not much space, but I think it's probably better than how things were before. Okay, so this will get sent to the back. Cool. So now what's going to happen, and I'll fill this with, what, like a dark gray or something. So it should be like super clear that this is the situation. Right? And then the extra staff, I mean the staff gained immediately. Yeah, this not perfect, but maybe a little more workable. This this I'm gonna make black again. Oh, it is. Oh, the transparency is low. Yeah, that doesn't hurt. And then on the staff card, where is that? And then this would sit over here on the staff card. This little guy. Yeah. I'm going to make some more changes here in a second, but so I like, so the extra guys will just sit here and they'll be in this little gray area so that hopefully the player can see that. The opponent can see that. Okay, so then this will sit here, perfect. And stretch to this area. This can go away, this can go away. And now these guys can actually sit here like this. Yeah, I actually like yeah, I like this a little better. And this guy can just kind of come and sit over here. I can shift them over, move this thing. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Because there was no reason to have those guys. You don't usually need that much space. So yeah, so they don't need to stretch out. The cards don't need to be spread out as far. So I like this. I think I like this a lot better. I don't know that I will have time for a playwright, actually. Yeah, this is good. This is good because this was something I noticed yesterday. It's just that I really want it to be very, very clear when a player is out of meeples, like out of workers for the round. And I think this clarifies it quite a bit, actually. It's a little weird that they just kind of get staged in the garage, but whatever. Okay, the other thing is that this is going to go away. I'm going to make another... Oh, this is something I can do pretty quickly, I think. Just clear this out. And I'm going to... I could track it with a regular size cube. Yeah, because this was way too small, fiddly. So I think I could do this. Well, those are actually probably way too big. Let me see. Eight. Because how many wide? 5. I guess if I went the other way. Well, wait. If there's six wide, and it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, that's weird. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. This looks so funny having this gap of 4 and then a gap of 3. I know that obviously it counts correctly, but it just still looks really weird. I definitely would not want 7 across. That seems ridiculous. Anyway, it looks like I'll have to resize. Yeah, let me get rid of these. And can I clean up here? I wonder if it'll let me. It did, good. Tidy up. Group, center that. Okay, so now let's do one more, I think. One group. Yeah, and then I'm not sure exactly which player aid stuff I would want on here, but I can also fit a little bit more. Group, ungroup, tidy up. Okay. Now I can bring these in. Weird. Okay. That would be great if that just fit. It's not going to. Can make some adjustments here. Yeah, that's fine. Slightly tedious, but it's working. And now I can add, yeah, I'm feeling it right now. I'm feeling a little bit tired. I've had long days at school before, and honestly, I think it's worth it. Still just trying to be disciplined about waking up. I do wish I'd had at least another hour and a half of sleep. That would have been cool. But here we are. $30. Yeah, so some of these things are just like quality of life changes. And so at this point, I don't feel like it's a massive waste of time. But yeah, some of these details I probably would not have cared so much about until getting these physical playtests going. Now I can put a little player aid stuff here. Okay, I can let these breathe a little more. Actually, this is good because I did want to drop the... It did seem like a nice thing to move the garage up. So here's what I'll do to get the spacing right. So just now make these meet. Oops. Close enough, right? Maybe, maybe not. Try that again. There it is. Now should I change where the staff card sits? Maybe. I actually, because this is still the like sort of the bottom of the sugar shack. Doesn't matter a whole lot. Why does this look like that? Oh, I did notice this yesterday. I think I realized that for some reason the barrel was not shown. Oh, of course it's not shown on the car side, but it's shown here. And then should I change the... No, that's good if it just sits right in there. Yeah, this is good. I liked seeing Aaron yesterday. I liked seeing him actually use this action. Where is it? It's the one on the... It's the one here on Serpink. Oh, I had... See, this was here. I don't know why... Oh, the image must have been old. Because I definitely added the names here. Wait a minute. It's helpful that when the name of the building is right up at the top. So I think I might need to change that. Like this, it's barely legible. This says hardware store. Gift shop is tiny. Anyway, those are all graphic design details that I don't need to super worry about right now, but I'm thinking about them. So the last thing was player aid, and there are just so many icons, actually. And this grant office being so tiny is not great. I think it should probably be separate. The player aid. Because what was I thinking? This could be... Where did that go? Yeah. Like something could go on here. I'm just not sure what. Yeah. Glad the stream quality seems to be holding up today too. I could do this little thing where I can mark that this is like 50. Then I'll just say 50 plus, maybe 50 plus. Just mark it. Again, these little quality of life details, right? Okay, I like that. What else? What else is important here? Because I guess when it comes to localization, you know, definitely the player aids would have the language on them, and so I guess you could print multiple. I wonder if it's enough, if there's enough, if there'd be enough space. Well, definitely on these bigger cards. If the cards were this, whatever the size is, I don't remember, jumbo something. If those were the cards, Um, then um, then that'd be plenty of room. I imagine there'd be plenty of room for the player aids, player like icon explanations. And so maybe you just print 2 or 3 of those, each with a different language. I wonder what the main languages are these days. Would it be like, would you want like 6 languages? English, French, Spanish, Chinese, Japanese, Korean. Maybe Chinese, Japanese. Yeah. Anyway, this I think has been a productive day. Always glad to make progress. Excited to like confirm certain things, make little tweaks here and there. Oh, I guess each yeah, I imagine actually it would be a double-sided player aid. One would discuss, like, one side would just be icons, the other side would be maybe mayor's favor cards and grant office upgrades. Probably something like that. Right? Anyway, I think that's it for me for today. Yeah. Exciting day after an exciting playtest. Hopefully I can hold together some energy at school today. But anyway, thanks for joining, and I will see you soon.